Let's be honest. Nobody likes being told they're wrong. And if you dare call out something as wrong that someone thinks is okay, well, there's a good chance you're not going to be on their Christmas card list this year. So this thing of labeling something as wrong has become one of the most common objections people have to God and to Christianity. All you have to do is fill in the wrong piece. I can't believe in a God who says homosexuality is wrong. I can't believe in a God who says transgender is wrong, or sleeping with whoever you want is wrong, or especially who says that abortion is wrong, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason this is such a big issue is because it goes right to the very core of human nature, which says, I want to be large and in charge, I want to make up my own rules, and I don't want any God who will limit my personal freedoms in any way. Now, this can create a real conundrum for people, because to live that way means you have to either say there is no God and be an atheist, or you have to create your own God who very conveniently thinks just like you do. And surprisingly enough, more people have opted for the second than for the first so they can have their cake and eat it too. See, by creating God in their own image, they can feel good about themselves by being religious because there's something deep in their knower that tells them there's a God out there. But at the same time, they're free to create their own boundaries of right and wrong. Again, this goes to the root of what sin is, wanting to be large and in charge, even if it means creating a puppet God they make up so they can control. It's important in this conversation not to pick a particular issue and make that the issue. Homosexuality, abortion, transgender, gay marriage, because that can get you off on a rabbit trail that you can't win because people's thinking on these things is driven by the reasoning of personal freedom. You know, you be you. And as long as people don't have the Spirit of God in them, they're going to think just like their culture and just like their peers. That's why we say here at Therefore Project that our goal is not to win arguments, but to win people into a relationship with Jesus, because once someone gets the Spirit of God in them, it's not us making the changes anymore, but God. What I want to do here is give you 4 thoughts that are in the form of questions that can flow easily in conversations when people use the "my God is" approach. Here's the first one. What is your God or your higher power like? Now, when you ask this question, it'll usually come down to something like this. Well, my God is a God of love, and no matter what I do, he still loves me, so I'm good. In other words, their God is very one-dimensional, love, and beyond that, there are no boundaries. Here's the second one. Where did that understanding of God come from? Now, this is a very fair question, because when it comes to the religions of the world, there are thousands upon thousands of books that have been written explaining the nature of their deities. When you ask this, they might tell you it came from something they read on the internet or heard on some podcast, or maybe it came from a conversation with their friends. But in reality, they probably came up with it all by themselves because it sounds good. In other words, it's something they just made up. Here's the third question. Do you think God has the right to determine right and wrong? Now, this is a really big one because it goes to the very core of what we mean by God. By definition, God is a supreme being with superior wisdom far beyond that of mere mortals and has the moral authority over the universe. If he doesn't have authority, then he's not God at all, but just some powerless figurehead we've created. God, if by definition has reasoning and understanding and authority beyond us, then he has every right to tell us what to do and what not to do. He has every right to say what is right and what is wrong. When someone is a king or in some kind of governing position, we understand they have authority. Well, so does God. Here's the fourth question, and this is really the critical one. Is it possible for God to be both loving and say certain things are wrong? Is that even possible? Now, when you think about this in the real world, it happens all the time. I mean, you go to a doctor and actually pay them to tell you that you're wrong. Maybe after looking at your blood work, they tell you that you're eating way too much sugar. But I love sugar. Doesn't matter. Stop it. Now go pay at the desk. Parenting is very much this way. Kids' freedoms are constantly being limited by parents who love them and want to protect them for their own good. They're always calling out things as wrong and telling their kids no, even though they know their kids won't understand in the moment and will resist. Don't put your finger in the outlet. Don't touch the hot oven. Don't hit your brother with a hammer. Don't be playing on the interstate. Love always sets boundaries and says things are wrong for the good of everyone involved. So if God is truly God, if he truly knows more than we do and loves us and wants to protect us and those around us, And if he's committed to using his supreme wisdom for our good, then it means he will call out things as wrong, even though he knows in real time we won't understand and we'll think we know better. That's what a loving God does. Now, about this time, if that's how the conversation had gone, you'd want to make some kind of transition by saying something like, "You may not know that this is exactly what the God of the Bible is like. If you got a few minutes, I'd like to show you so at least you'll know the God that we're talking about." And if they give you permission, you communicate the gospel. Never forget that it's the gospel that is the power of God for salvation. And it's the gospel that has the power to change the way a person thinks, acts, and lives, not only today, but tomorrow and forever.